Hello and welcome to Homeschool Together. We got new digs.
We did. Well, new digs.
Half new digs. Normally we're pointed that way, but that way is not presentable. But this way is. So.
Yeah, we just finished our new built-in desk, and the other side of the wall we're working on kind of a YouTube studio area. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. This week
we're upgrading.
This week we were in the Koreas, both North and South Korea, and as we like to say every time, we like to focus on a couple key items. So we did focus on the history of Korea and also the split around Korea. So this was kind of a more challenging week with respect to the content because normally we've kind of shied away from kind of conflict issues.
Just because it's for a kindergartner. Our daughter is so young.
It's hard for
we
her
haven't talked. Trying to talk about some of these really large geopolitical conflicts is really difficult. So, but in this case, we really had to talk a lot about that and the DMZ, and we focused a lot on the differences in life between people who are in North Korea and people who are in the South and what their lives look like.
Yeah, a lot of great content on there. So let's hop into it like we always do. We'll start with the books.
Yes.
Put the baby monitor down first. Where's Helmoni?
Yeah, this was recommended for Torchlight. It is a graphic novel, and my daughter and I both felt it was very strange. We just didn't like it at all.
Was it kind of folktale-y, sort of?
Kind of. It was kind of a folktale.
We have a general dislike for folktales.
No, I don't think that's true. This was just a little bit. My daughter was like, "What's going on? Why are they chasing a tiger?" Like, she just didn't get it, and I kind of was like, "I don't know, honey. It's whimsical." Like we just, you know what I think was lacking for me. There was no real great connection. There's really good artwork in it, but. For us, this was like a total flop. We didn't like this at all. So I definitely would not buy this book. If you want to check it from your library and see if it's your jam, maybe it is.
Especially if a learner kind of likes that like comic book graphic novel style, maybe it might interest them.
It was weird, but check it out from your library. Don't take my word for it, but don't buy it until you look at it.
Next one, Pandas, always popular. Zen Ties.
Yeah, Zen Ties was part of this week too, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was part of this, and it was about a panda and learning to inner peace, and it was okay. It didn't have any big connection element. It was all right. I don't know. Both of these books were a little bit of a miss for me, but hey, we've got good books coming up that we found, so let's toss the ones that they said to do, and let's talk about what we found.
Mindy Kim and the Trip to Korea.
So this is the chapter book we read, y'all. It is really good. So Mindy Kim is a series of books of kind of early chapter books. I mean, they're not super early.
Not a lot of drawings. Yeah, here we go.
But there are some drawings in there. It's a series about a Korean American girl, and I think there might be like 6 or 7 books. We chose Mindy Kim. It's called The Trip.
The Trip to Korea.
The Trip to Korea.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's her and her father's girlfriend, and they go to Korea to visit her grandparents and her aunt and uncle, and it's all about their trip to Seoul and who they meet and the customs and the food and the things they go and see. It was a really excellent chapter book, and it was also about acceptance. The girlfriend hoping to become the wife of her father at some point and wanting to be accepted by the family and wanting to help cook traditional foods.
Interesting family dynamic.
There was interesting family dynamics. This wasn't just another story that I will easily forget. Like Think Greetings from Somewhere. As much as I really like those books and our daughter likes those books, I find them kind of like generic action movie number 4. Like, I really enjoyed it while I was there, and I remember none of it later. This book actually had some staying power. I remembered it. Our daughter remembered pieces from it. I thought it was a really excellent chapter book for this age. Might be a little bit on the long side for some of the really young readers. But if you've got, our daughter is 6, and this was perfect for me to read to her in about a week. We only did a week on this, and it was fine. So
absolutely,
highly recommend Mindy Kim. If you can't get this one, get any part of the series. I think will probably be interesting. But this was best because she's actually taking a trip to Korea.
Are you ready for some Beebop?
So our next 2 books are really good if you are doing this with a child that's on the younger side.
Yeah.
If you're doing this with a 5-year-old.
2.5-year-old like to sit through this.
Yeah, this is a rhyming.
It's very musical, yeah.
Yeah, it's all about, we're going to make some Beebop, and I can't wait for Beebop. There's a lot of Beebop. And it's all about the food that they're eating. It's really cute. I would say for an older learner...
Nice recipe at the end as well.
And there's a recipe for those of you that are brave
Yep.
and want to make the recipes. So yeah, I thought it was really good for a younger learner. Our older learner was like, that was nice.
Yeah.
So,
I remember we read this. It may have been part of like the Torchlight or the...
yeah, I want to say maybe
Blossom
Torchlight pre-K.
Yeah.
It was part of, or Blossom and Root.
A few of these books
pre-K.
have come back, and I remember this was one of them.
Yeah, this is a really fun one, but it is a little bit on the younger side.
Mm-hmm.
So just know, especially if you're doing this with a slightly older learner, that this probably won't be their jam, even though it's cute.
Absolutely.
And then the next one...
Danby leads the parade.
Yes, Danby leads the school parade. I think this might have also been maybe like Torchlight pre-K.
Very good book.
This is a Korean American girl who is struggling to fit in at her new school and, find a friend. And this is also another one, great artwork in this one. Another one that's really good for younger learners if you're doing Korea with a younger set. This is another really terrific book. Our daughter still enjoyed it, but it wasn't like as meaty as some of the other books.
Really nice to kind of like help a child who's maybe new at school. We have the preschooler. I think we read this when our daughter was in Montessori, and she kind of really identified with it because she was experiencing a lot of young kids who maybe were a little anxious and a little nervous. Not as much now when she's kind of like almost at the first grade level now. So didn't really identify it now, but it was, you're right, with a younger learner.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is really good if you have a kid who's going into any kind of new situation, even if you're not studying Korea. Read Danby Leads the School Parade. It's very cute.
It's very cute.
So definitely on the younger learner side.
The Have a Good Day Cafe.
I really liked this one, y'all. This is a really sweet one. It's about a Korean American family, and the mom and dad run like just a typical kind of hot dog cart. I don't know if it's in New York or what. It's in the city. They run a hot dog cart.
Big city hot dog cart.
And the grandma comes to stay with them, and she really misses Korea. And so she slowly convinces them that they should stop selling hot dogs because there's lots of hot dog vendors and they're not making as much money anymore, and that they should instead sell Korean dishes. And so they changed the name of it, and now it's the Have a Good Day Cafe, and the whole family gets into making these really amazing dishes, and everybody just starts lining up, and they really thought that all the Americans would want were these hot dogs and pretzels and stuff.
They were terribly wrong. We want more Korean food.
So anyway, it was super cute. We really liked this. This was one of my favorite books for Korea, honestly.
Very, very sweet.
I liked it.
The Turtle Ship.
Ooh, a little bit of history about a man who this is a real kind of ship that they used, and we actually watched some videos and things on it. That it's like it's a wooden armored ship with spikes and stuff, and the rowers are inside the ship so that they're safe from arrow attacks and things. And anyway, it's a fictionalized tale of how that ship came to be. And it's a real thing, and we watched a lot of videos on it, and it was really pretty cool. So,
The Ocean Calls. Now this was a sweet book. I actually
you
read
this one.
Yeah, it's about I think a mother and a daughter. The mother is a oyster diver off the coast. I think goes for abalone and maybe some other underwater treats and tasty eats. They do a lot of diving, and it was centered around the anxiety of being in the water, diving down, holding their breath, the mystery of undersea life, and then how the young child overcame it and became sort of like a mermaid. It was kind of like a mermaid subtext throughout the whole story that the mom was a mermaid.
And this is a specific part of South Korea that people do this. This is a real
this
part
is a real
of
thing.
their culture.
And there was a lot of the women. They were all the female divers, and so it's basically like this community of women divers, and it was really, really interesting.
I love the artwork in this one.
The artwork was really nice, and I liked kind of how they had this mystic element of like every time they went under the water was kind of almost like a Luca type of thing where they kind of turned into like, were they a mermaid, were they not? And it was this kind of uncertainty. So really cool, kind of told from the eyes of a young learner how they could see kind of the mystic element of these mythical women diving underneath the water. So it was a really, really good story. I liked it.
Yeah, this was a good one.
All right, now this one, sort of the vapors came on this one, When Spring Comes to the DMZ. Okay, now this was, we should actually talk about both of them.
Well, yeah.
We had two DMZ books, and this one was really good. I loved the artwork in this one. All about basically a grandfather who was telling about all the changes between the land, between the South Korea and North Korea. There's kind of this demilitarized zone. Beautiful artwork, beautiful colors, great illustrations. Loved it, and very emotional. Talking about how this longing for the DMZ to be gone, longing for being able to get across the DMZ to go to family and friends. Really talked about that separation. Very nice, beautiful. Talking about how the animals in nature have reclaimed the land between it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, a lot of fold out. Really beautiful. It was a feast of the eyes. It was a really beautiful book, and it was kind of like that nice introduction into what the DMZ is.
How did you feel this was sensitivity-wise for young learners? Because you read this one.
For young learners, I think they kind of understood that there's like this separation area. For adults, it's way more emotional because you can tell the difference. You understand what the grandfather's going through at a higher level than the learner. So I don't think this one was as emotional, maybe more for the parents than for the children.
But it was totally appropriate.
Totally appropriate. No issues there. It was just, I think it was more because you knew what the grandfather was going through and how he's trying to teach his grandson about that. Mm-hmm. So I liked this one. This one was really good. Now the follow-up to it was The Rice from Heaven.
Yeah, so this is a true story about a group of folks who made these like balloons, and they had these big rice sacks, and they would fill the balloons and they would sail across. They had to sail like 800 miles or something. Like, it was a really long ways, longer than I thought a balloon could go. I don't remember how long it was.
I believe it began.
It was really far
during the famine period in the 90s for North Korea.
Right. So they started sending rice, and these bags would fall from the sky for the North Korean people, and they didn't know if they made it to folks or not, or got blown off course, but it was this kind of humanitarian mission, and it is a real story. And so when we were done, we looked up real pictures from the event.
Yeah, and some videos as well. I think there were a couple nice documentaries about it, short documentaries, a couple minutes long, so you could actually connect with what you read on the page and have your learners see that in the real world, because this is very wild to think about. They're sending food over, very abstract thinking on this one, and it's really cool to see actual video of it actually happening. So really enjoyed both of these.
Both of them were, I mean, these are definitely bittersweet books, and you don't need to cover this if you want to just stick with talking about South Korea. But we found for our daughter at 6.5 that she was very able to understand that there was these two very different lands where people lived very differently, and she appreciated both of these books. So I don't think neither one of them.
I appreciated them both as well.
They didn't make her sad or cause, but I think they were good to bring awareness to just how different it can be on the other side of this 2-mile zone.
Exactly. Next is the Ready to Read, Living in South Korea. We've talked about these books before.
They're great.
A young learner going around telling about their country. Again, we just want to recommend this, tell you about it, make sure you put this on the list. They're better than some of the other ones that were a little bit older. So
there's the blast off readers, which are good, but these living in ... whatever country, the ready to read ones, they're the best. They've got the best information.
I think they
all about the person's life.
They target that 5, 6, 7-year-old age range just perfectly. Yeah, perfectly. Just entertainment wise.
If you only want to get one nonfiction book and you've got a choice between this and blast off readers, always go with the living in ... the ready to read version. They're top notch. So
absolutely.
I always recommend them.
So those are the books we recommend this week. Nice assortment, good list if you want to tackle those more tougher issues. Videos, we did a lot about food. We
watched people cooking a lot. We got into this when we started with China, and we've just kind of kept going. Like, we watched a lot of YouTube videos of people making the food from that region. Even if we haven't cooked it, it's better for our waistlines to watch the videos and not make all the food.
It's not as much of an insulin triggering event where it's actually going in my mouth, just watching it, just drooling.
It's better. So we watched a lot of that. We also watched some things about the DMZ and about the patrols and things like that. We watched kind of a documentary made about North Korea.
I think it was the Frontline documentary. We watched the first 10 or 15 minutes of it. It was really heavy. I don't know if I would recommend it.
I don't know that I do that one. The first few minutes I think was enough for her to get kind of an overview, and so we watched some videos just to show her kind of the difference in the two places. We watched some videos about Seoul and what would you we watched videos like as if you were taking a trip to Seoul and all the things you could do and the interesting places to see and stuff. And so we watched a bunch of those.
Those are always
videos.
fun.
I like the travel videos.
There's great travel videos. Expedia actually puts together some
That's
really...
the one, Expedia.
Yeah, they always put together these beautiful top 10 things to do in South Korea or top 10 things to do in China. They're really nice, beautiful, very wholesome. wonderfully edited.
And they're only like 8 minutes.
And they're only 8 minutes long, so you just toss them on and you just vicariously travel, you know, with your kids.
It was great. We really enjoyed it. So we watched some of that. We watched a little bit about what North Korean life is like, and you know, we just gave her a flavor of a very heavy and difficult subject.
Yeah, without going into it too deep. Yeah, into too depth. She saw a little bit of it, and we kind of stopped it because it was getting a little heavy. We didn't really want to go any further with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we didn't watch any movies.
No, we didn't watch any movies for this week. We were pretty busy. This was only a week, and there was really a lot of books to cover, so we didn't get to a movie.
Well, and we know there's so much good Korean cinema out there, but maybe put it in the comments if you have a good Korean kids movie. That
we know a lot of Korean adult movies, but not for kids cinema. Yeah, this was a little hard. We didn't specifically talk about I guess we should clarify. We didn't specifically talk about the Korean War and our role in that as the United States and all. We just didn't get into all of that. It was really too complicated for a 6-year-old. But we did just try to talk about the differences between the two countries. Yeah. And we made I made this Korean beef recipe.
Wonderful food, yeah.
It was really good.
It's kind of a ground beef, really strong.
With lots of
what were the spices
hoisin,
in that? Hoisin sauce
and soy.
And it was really good.
They made it.
We'll put the link down in the show notes.
Yeah, we're having this struggle between making food that is authentic and making food that our 2-year-old and 6-year-old will eat. And so we've been
make food and then chicken nuggets for the kids.
Well, yeah. So this is what happens, right? We even when my daughter's helping us with it.
The lights just turned on.
Oh wow, that was exciting! They're on a timer. They got us. So even when our daughter helps out, it's really a bit difficult because she still may not actually like to eat it. So we took these and we made like a Korean sloppy joe. I know. I felt bad saying that. I told him not to say.
She told me not to say sloppy joe, and then she says it.
Well, I want to be honest because I do want to post the recipe.
There's no standard like a double standard.
Okay, I want to post the recipe though because I thought they were very tasty and our kids really liked it.
They did.
But yes, not authentic in any way, and we know. We
understand.
We know, but we gotta appease the small children. So.
We have to balance the issue.
It had the beef had good Korean flavors. The sloppy joe, the hamburger bun part. But I'll post a recipe for all of you that also have small children that might enjoy such a recipe.
We hit the Koreas. We had a great time. We will see you next time in India, Pakistan,
and Nepal.
We touched a little Sri Lanka. So we're heading kind of southwesty now in Asia. We're kind of wrapping around China and getting into the wonderful India. So it'll be wonderful. I'll see you then.